Mom, I'm in trouble. I need help right now. Imagine just picking up your phone and hearing those exact words. It's your kid's voice, the exact pitch, the exact cadence, the sheer terror in their voice. Your stomach just instantly drops. You'd do absolutely anything to help them in that split second, right? Well, here is the absolutely terrifying reality we're dealing with today. That voice on the other end of the line, it might not be your child at all. It might literally be a machine. A few lines of code, an algorithm designed specifically to weaponize your love and your protective instincts against you. What used to sound like some wild sci-fi movie plot is literally happening right now, in the real world, to everyday folks like us.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down a massive, fundamental paradigm shift in the world of cybersecurity, human interaction, and, honestly, trust itself. We're exploring what is undoubtedly one of the most dangerous AI threats coming at us over the next few years. We're not just talking about hackers cracking passwords or swiping credit card numbers anymore. No, we're talking about a reality where criminals are literally stealing the very sound of who we are. Section 1. The Voice Cloning Reality. Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp the magnitude of this threat, we have to recognize just how insanely advanced modern artificial intelligence has gotten. Like right now, at this very second, AI systems can clone human voices with such high fidelity and emotion that it sounds frighteningly real. Think about it. For years, our main defense in the digital world has basically been skepticism toward text. We've all been drilled on the golden rule of the internet, right? Don't trust suspicious emails. Don't click that weird link. Check the sender's address for typos. But we're rapidly shifting into this terrifying new world where familiar voices may no longer be trustworthy. We rely on this biological certainty that when you hear someone you know, it's actually them. I mean, our brains are hardwired to believe what we hear, but those old, established defense mechanisms, they are completely failing against this new wave of AI.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how incredibly exposed our voices already are across everyday platforms. You might think a hacker needs, hours of you reading a script in some fancy soundproof studio to copy your vocal fingerprint. Well, they don't. In some cases, modern AI only needs about 3 seconds of audio. Just 3 seconds. Think about it. A quick voice note you sent over WhatsApp, a 15-second TikTok video, a tiny clip from a podcast, a YouTube interview, or even just a casual story on your social media. That tiny little digital footprint is often more than enough for these AI systems to recreate your voice and make it say literally anything.
And make no mistake, cybercriminals are aggressively exploiting this across every boundary you can imagine. We're seeing incredibly sophisticated cases where scammers are impersonating CEOs, calling up employees and saying, "Hey, I need you to approve this wire transfer urgently." They're posing as bank reps. But, and this is the really dark part, it doesn't just stop in the corporate world. They're targeting the most vulnerable spaces, our family members, and even our kids. As you can see, this threat hits fast-moving business environments and quiet family homes equally, simply because it preys on something totally universal.
Section 2. Hacking human emotion. So, let's slow things down for a second because we really need to emphasize the psychological manipulation that makes these scams so incredibly devastating. These scams aren't just hacking computer networks, they are hacking human emotion. Most people confidently believe, "Oh, I'd spot a scam immediately." But logic totally vanishes when emotion takes the wheel. And it all starts with fear. When you hear a familiar voice, someone you respect, or someone you love deeply, sounding like they're in danger, or a CEO making some urgent, intimidating demand, it instantly bypasses your logical brain. Fear creates this biological override. You just stop analyzing the situation critically because your brain is screaming that immediate action is required for survival. And right on the heels of fear comes stress. These AI voice cloning attacks are intentionally designed to create incredibly high-stress environments. Picture a finance employee getting an urgent payment instruction from someone who sounds exactly like their boss. The pressure to perform, the fear of getting fired, the stress of this massive immediate deadline, it literally forces victims to abandon their usual caution. All those security protocols and healthy skepticism just go right out the window. And finally, panic. Creating panic is the ultimate goal of the attacker here. Whether it's the panicked parent hearing their child crying out for help, or the panicked employee trying to fix some manufactured corporate crisis. Because here's the thing, panicked people do not stop to verify who is actually calling them. They just act blindly. They transfer the money. They hand over the confidential files.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real definition of a psychological attack.
Modern cyber attacks just aren't purely technical anymore. They aren't just sitting there trying to brute force a firewall. No, AI is allowing criminals to bypass the firewall entirely by manipulating trust itself. They are, quite literally, hacking the human operating system.
Section 3. The collapsing fraud barrier. Let's move to this and see how this builds on what we just discussed, looking at the rapidly changing landscape of AI accessibility.
Because understanding the psychology, that's really only half the battle. We also have to look at why this is suddenly happening everywhere, all at once. Just a few short years ago, pulling off a convincing voice clone required serious advanced expertise and incredibly expensive technology. It was basically locked inside well-funded research labs. But contrast that with today. Right now, there are countless cheap or even completely free tools online that can generate a realistic cloned voice in minutes. The barrier to entry for committing highly sophisticated fraud is just totally collapsing. Literally, anyone with an internet connection and bad intentions can now launch a psychological cyber attack.
Your voice is personal data. You cannot simply change your voice after it gets copied. So the crucial point is the terrifying permanence of this threat. Think about it. If a hacker steals your password, you just reset it. If they steal your credit card, you call the bank, cancel it, and get a new piece of plastic a few days later. But your voice? That's a fundamental part of your identity. Once it gets copied and modeled by an AI, it's out there. And that creates enormous, unprecedented privacy and cybersecurity concerns for every single one of us.
And if we stay unprepared, the systemic risks to our society are just going to multiply. We're looking at a future flooded with fake emergency calls, tying up our first responders, mass identity fraud, profound political manipulation through totally fabricated audio of public figures, corporate espionage where fake conversations completely ruin companies, blackmail using entirely false evidence. It threatens the very fabric of how we as a society agree on what's real and what's fake.
Section 4. Adapting to the AI era. Okay, let's take a breath, because it's definitely not all doom and gloom. We're transitioning from the scary stuff to how we actually take our power back.
This is our wake-up call, right? We're stepping into the AI era. And just like society adapted to the dawn of the internet, we now get to actively adapt to artificial intelligence. And first, it's really vital to remember that the technology itself isn't evil. AI voice cloning has amazing, genuinely life-changing benefits. It's giving voices back to people with severe speech disabilities. It's powering real-time translation systems that break down global language barriers. And it's totally revolutionizing entertainment and accessibility. Like any powerful tool, it's all about how it's used. We don't need to fear the technology, we just need to protect against its abuse.
And that protection starts with taking concrete action, especially within organizations. Businesses absolutely must adapt their frameworks right now. That means implementing strict verification procedures for any sensitive actions. You've got to build robust approval workflows where a single voice command is never, ever enough to move money or sensitive data. It requires continuous, updated employee awareness training so your teams actually know this threat exists. And crucially, it means relying on multi-factor confirmation processes. If the CEO calls asking for a wire transfer, you hang up and you message them on a secure internal channel to confirm. You have to build a stronger internal security culture.
Which really leaves us with this profound question to ponder. How do we adapt when AI fundamentally changes the way humans experience trust? Because honestly, that's what's truly at stake here. AI is changing something way bigger than just software or hardware. It's changing the human experience itself. Emotional certainty, that gut feeling that says, I know this voice, is simply no longer enough proof. We literally have to rewire our natural instincts.
And honestly, navigating this new reality comes down to one single, incredibly simple golden rule. It's going to save you, it's going to save your family, and it'll save your business. Verify before trusting, especially when fear, stress, or panic are involved. If a phone call triggers an emotional response and demands urgent action, just take a breath, hang up. Call them back on a known, trusted number. Ask a question that only they would know the answer to. Don't let your own biological instincts be weaponized against you. In the age of AI, hearing is no longer believing. You must verify before trusting, because as this technology gets even better tomorrow, who will you really be talking to?